Rain hammered against the diner windows that night, and the neon open sign flickered like a heartbeat. Rosa Mae wiped the counter with a tired hand, humming softly to fill the empty silence. Her diner, Rosa's home kitchen, sat on the edge of town, where the asphalt faded into dust and the law came only when it wanted to. Most nights were quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you forget the world can turn cruel. But that night, fate came riding on two wheels. A motorcycle engine roared in the distance, echoing through the storm. Moments later, the door burst open and a man stumbled in. He was huge, his leather jacket torn, a faded skull and wings patch on his back, the mark of the Hell's Angels. His knuckles were bleeding, his left eye swollen. He looked like he'd been in a war. Rosa didn't flinch. She'd seen worse during the old days when her husband was still alive, a soldier who came home broken and soft-spoken. Without asking a word, she poured him coffee. "You look like you need this more than I do," she said gently. The man nodded, his voice rough. "Thank you, ma'am. I'll pay when I can." She waved him off. "Ain't about money. Just drink before it gets cold." Before he could take a sip, red and blue lights flashed through the rain. Two police cruisers pulled up. Doors slammed and heavy boots stomped toward the diner. Rosa's heart sank. The door swung open again and two officers entered, dripping rain and fury.
"Where is he?"
one barked. They spotted the biker instantly. "Jack Malone, you're under arrest for assault, resisting, and drug possession." Rosa blinked. "You got a warrant?" she asked calmly. The older cop turned to her, sneering. "Stay out of this, ma'am. He's dangerous." Jack didn't move. "I didn't do nothing. That cop at the bar started it. He wanted a fight." The younger officer reached for his gun. Rosa stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. "Not in my diner. You want to take him? Show the paper that says you can." The room fell silent except for the hiss of rain. The officers exchanged looks, uncertain, then backed off a little. The older one spat on the floor. "Lady, you just made a big mistake." Jack looked at her, eyes full of confusion and gratitude. "Why'd you do that?" he whispered. Rosa shrugged. "Because everyone deserves a chance to finish their coffee." By morning, word spread faster than wildfire. The whole town was buzzing. Rosa Mae stood up to the police for a biker. The mayor called it reckless. The preacher said it was sinful. Old friends crossed the street to avoid her. Customers stopped coming. By noon, the diner was empty. Even the delivery man muttered, "Didn't think you'd side with trash like him, Rosa." She pretended not to hear. But that night, when she closed the blinds, her eyes filled with tears. She whispered to her husband's photo on the shelf, "They don't understand, baby. You taught me better. Never judge a man by his jacket. Judge him by his eyes." The next morning, she sat alone at the counter, nursing a cold cup of coffee. Then she heard it, low at first, like thunder in the distance. A single engine, then another, then dozens. The sound grew until the walls shook. She stepped outside, hands shielding her eyes from the morning sun. Down the road, a line of motorcycles stretched as far as she could see. 200 bikers, leather jackets shining, patches gleaming. They parked one by one, engines rumbling in unison. The sheriff's car pulled up too, lights flashing. Rosa's heart pounded. The crowd of bikers stood silently until one man stepped forward. It was Jack, the same biker she had helped. He walked up slowly, holding something in his hand, a bouquet of wildflowers, dusty and rough around the edges. "Ma'am," he said loud enough for everyone to hear, "you didn't have to stand up for me, but you did. Nobody ever has." His voice cracked. "We don't forget loyalty. We don't forget kindness." Rosa looked at the sea of leather and steel before her, uncertain whether to be afraid or proud. The sheriff shouted, "You folks better move along. We don't want trouble here." Jack turned to him, his tone calm but sharp as a blade. "No trouble, Sheriff. We're just here to eat breakfast." The bikers laughed softly, respectful, and started filing into the diner, filling every booth and stool. Rosa froze for a moment, then smiled, the first real smile in days. She turned on the griddle and called out, "Hope you boys are hungry. Pancakes don't cook themselves." The room erupted in laughter. The smell of bacon filled the air, the sound of forks and laughter mixing with the hum of engines outside. For the first time in a long while, Rosa felt her diner come alive again. not with fear or gossip, but with gratitude. And in that small corner of the world, on a rainy stretch of highway, a woman's act of courage turned strangers into family. The town might never understand, but Rosa Mae didn't need them to. She had found her truth, her purpose, and, without meaning to, her angels. Morning sunlight spilled across the dusty road as Rosa Mae stepped out of her diner. 200 motorcycles stood lined up like soldiers, their riders silent, waiting. The sheriff's voice boomed from his car. "Rosa, this has to stop. You're protecting outlaws." She folded her arms. "I'm protecting people, Sheriff." Jack Malone walked up beside her, his leather jacket creased, eyes steady. "We came for peace," he said. "Not a fight," the sheriff sneered. "You call blocking the road peace?" Jack lifted a small envelope. "Inside is proof your officer framed me. You should be thanking her, not threatening her." Within hours, the truth spread. A reporter arrived, followed by cameras. The leaked video showed how Rosa had been shoved by officers while defending an innocent man. Overnight, her name flooded social media. Some called her a hero. Others said she was reckless. Rosa didn't care. She only wanted her diner back. But the next morning, she found broken glass and hateful graffiti on her walls. She sank to her knees, whispering, "Why can't kindness ever come easy?" Before she could rise, engines roared outside. The bikers were back, tools in hand. Jack and his crew repaired the windows, scrubbed the paint, fixed the lights, and replaced her sign with a hand-carved one that read, "Rosa's Diner, where every soul gets a seat." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "You didn't have to," she whispered. Jack smiled faintly. "Family doesn't have to." A week later, Rosa received a letter calling her to court for interference in law enforcement. She went alone, refusing Jack's offer to escort her. "If I walk in with them, they'll say I came to scare. Alone, they'll see my truth," she said. When she entered the courtroom, whispers filled the room. Then from outside, the deep rumble of engines began to rise. The doors opened. 200 bikers filed in silently, taking every seat behind her. When the prosecutor accused her of defiance, Rosa's voice was steady. "If helping a man in need is defiance, then I'm guilty." The judge looked at her, then at the crowd, and finally said, "Case dismissed." Outside, the air shook with cheers. Jack placed his helmet on the counter of her diner that evening and smiled. "Told you we'd stand by you." Rosa looked toward the sunset and whispered, "You were right, baby. Never judge a man by his jacket."